Let's now take a sort of forward-oriented look into the future. Behind us, we have a decade in which the sector has grown fivefold, I think, if not more. There's been exponential growth, and it looks set to continue. It looks to penetrate more sectors of the economy, etc. So, having in mind the lessons to date, let's put on a hat of a regulator and think about the next 5 to 10 years and the regulation that if we had the power, we can draw up for ourselves to ensure that the benefits are there and that the dangers are minimized. Where would we begin? If you had the chance to focus the attention of regulators on 3 top priorities, what would those be? Where would you begin from a global perspective? From a global perspective.
I think to move ahead, I think what would be very important is to begin a process of crafting and adopting international labor standard. I think that would be very important, which could be either in the form of a convention or recommendation. And I think for this purpose, ILO is very well placed. It's a tripartite organization with employers, workers, and governments. And I think we have the mandate to set the regulations for this type of work. And we have now got a mandate as the governing body in 2021 has very clearly advised us and requested the office to actually convene a tripartite expert meeting on the issue of decent work in the platform economy in the course of 2022. And this year, from October 10th to 14th, we are going to have this meeting of experts with members from the government, workers and employers participating and deliberating on this issue. And the results of this meeting would then inform whether we would have a general discussion or a standard setting item as part of the International Labour Conference in the coming years. And I think there it would be very important to ensure that, as mentioned earlier, that decent working conditions for these workers would be very critical to focus on.
So clearly there is a role for platform economy in the future as well. And given the lessons of what we talked about so far, is there a message to the platform business community that can help in jump-starting a more productive debate on ensuring platform work is always decent work?
I think there's clearly a message that can be given to the platform business, because a platform business cannot exist if you do not have a worker, and a worker with a skill. Because if you do not have that, what are you selling to a client or a customer? Nothing. So workers are central. Human beings are central to the platform business model, to the sustainability of a platform business model. And unless and until they do not take care of the well-being of these workers, they cannot survive. They will not thrive. And I think evidence has proven that in many senses. And I think it's time that platforms are regulated and workers working on these platforms have decent working conditions.
The way things are going now, are we in a dead-end situation for decent work in the platform economy, or do you predict do you have a more optimistic view on the ability of the companies, trade unions, and other parties to arrive at a balanced approach that ensures decent work for all in the platform economy? Would you be an optimist, or how would you, because there's a lot of discussion about all the issues and all the challenges, and I would invite you to draw the conversation to a close with kind of your own personal evaluation of where we stand at the moment and what are the prospects for a quick and effective sort of regulation and improvement of standards such as they are at the moment?
I think I'm an optimist. I would not give it up. I don't think we are at a dead end. I feel that we are at the beginning of a conversation. And the beginning of a conversation means getting the different social partners onto the table and having a discussion. And I think the time is apt. We have more than enough evidence today from across the globe to show what has been the practices and experiences of workers around the world, as well as a number of traditional business, to start a conversation about, how should we ensure protection of workers working on platforms and having a level playing field for traditional businesses. And I think this conversation can start with looking at some of the basic principles of how the platform business model operates and trying to see how many of these practices can be actually changed to ensure protections to the workers, as well as having a level playing field with other businesses without exploiting it. And this relates not only to the question of, what the classification of the workers is, but it goes around all of the labor rights, also algorithmic practices and transparency and sharing of data privacy, data protection, and ensuring that there is an enabling environment for all enterprises to actually participate. And I think the tripartite expert meeting that the ILO is going to have soon is a step forward towards taking this dialogue for an international policy coordination for regulation of the platform economy.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.